How has morbid curiosity screwed you over? So there's this trend going around with people typing in their names in the Urban Dictionary and it coming up with a meaning. The given name I have is very rare, no one has it. I put it in the Urban Dictionary and multiple results came, and one of the closest ones was used to define, and I quote, "ISTG, this is a true ASHDF boy." So never mind the fact that it decided to call me an F boy, even though I am polar opposite. I am not just bad at it, I'm SHD1. As a kid, I knew that you needed 2 wires for electricity to power an appliance. So I thought it would be a cool idea to let the electricity flow freely from one hole of a power outlet to the other, so I bent a wire in a U-shape and plugged it in. With my bare hands. At school, I believe 1st grade. 220-volt network. There was a flash, and I got thrown back, but really thought nothing of it until some teachers came running and I got a lecture or two about safety. When I was in high school, for some reason I got really into 4chan gore threads. Stuff like workplace accidents or when a criminal gets beaten to a pulp in third world countries never bothered me, but then I started seeing stuff like ISIS beheadings, cartel executions, and that's when it stormed to mess with me. Stumbled upon that FPV mosque shooting video at some point, and yeah, that was hard to get out of my head. Lesson learned. I work in animal control and have to put a dog down tomorrow for extreme aggression. It recently bit someone, so they gotta do a rabies test. Well, if you're unfamiliar, rabies tests for dogs are done by swabbing the brain stem. The only way to do so is through decapitation. Never seen it done yet, so professional curiosity is getting the better of me and I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. Ask me again in 12 hours. I can tell you one thing I've managed to resist, and that has been in taking the advice of everyone who mentions that live video. Everyone who's seen it wishes they hadn't and tells everyone not to indulge their curiosity. I'm blessed with a vivid enough imagination that I feel like I can accurately enough picture what happens, and have never felt the need to actually watch it. I found a human femur when I was a teenager and decided to take it home and hide it so I could inspect it. I was on exchange in Spain at the time. I didn't know what to do with it after I brought it home, so like an idiot I put it in my luggage 5 weeks later when I flew back home to my family. Airport security and I had a really long talk. Out of all the shit I seen, a mass spam of animal gore videos on Twitter. I call it the Twitter massacre of 2023. Wasn't just animal gore too, there was zoophilia, and tons of cartel beheadings. I think the worst one of them all was a kitten getting cut in half with a butcher's knife while it was still alive. I couldn't really sleep that night afterwards. How I learned to mind my own business. I was walking past the mental hospital the other day, and all the patients were shouting, 13.13. The fence was too high to see over, but I saw a little gap in the planks, so I looked through to see what was going on. Some idiot poked me in the eye with a stick, then they all started shouting, 14.14. I wouldn't say it was morbid curiosity as I was just going through the Hiroshima Museum about the atomic bomb, but let's just say that they vividly displayed some after effects of intense radiation exposure that are NSFL. If you have morbid curiosity, the related NSFL term to look up would be degloving. It's basically that but all over the body. I remember one night in August 2007. When I was 13, I looked up the Black W case in the late midnight hours. When I tell you that the images that returned made me jump out of my skin. I closed that webpage so fast and ran to my room. I couldn't sleep for the whole evening, and I was pretty traumatized for a whole week. Reading all this, I'm glad I never had enough unsupervised access to the internet to see any of that. Sometimes a classmate showed something like that awful stuff, but I just found it disgusting and moved on. Never let it get to me. I'm so glad I grew up safe from all that. Most of what you said is absolutely horrifying. Gore shit and crime scene pictures. Why I feel the need to click when it says warning sign. I'll be reading about a case or whatever or just come across some mad page with bizarre gore shit and have a look. I really wish I hadn't sometimes, but it's like a compulsion. Or bizarre medical stuff. That's another one. You kinda killed my childhood with all those gore videos. Syrian rebel decapitation a child of ISIS, 5 or 6, decapitating a NIS face getting sliced clean of people just immolating the town deviant, sometimes teenagers. I think I've seen it all. I can't remember the dude's name, but it was some politician who got blackmailed in like the 70s or 80s and was doing something on live TV. Found a Reddit post with a link to where the dude unalived himself. I will never get that image of the blood rushing out of his nose out of my head. I dialed a guy I thought was a close friend asking if he liked me. I'm married but just came out as poly. He did not feel the same. Ended up ruining what I thought was a 10-year friendship, though I got too clingy due to a mental breakdown, which is what really ended things. RIP. A few cartel videos, especially Crap, can't quite recall its internet nickname. It was a song title, but they clearly had this guy jacked on meth so he'd stay awake longer. His face was peeled off to the bone, his hands had been cut off. It was awful. Added Funky Town, Miss Pac-Man. I stumbled upon it and instantly regretted clicking. I've seen a fair share of gore. I'm morbidly curious and it doesn't normally bother me too much. I'm interested in the medical side of things, i.e. medical gore, but seeing that fucked me up for life. Found an old VHS DVD player in the basement when I was 17 and set it up. Went through all the VHS we had. Even the unmarked ones. Parents' sex tape right in front of my eyes. On the plus side, tapes of Whose Line Were My Eye Bleach. Here are a few. Horse video. 2 Girls 1 Cup. Saw a NSFW vid. Comments says was a guy I called Cap cause brother's face was fully there. Long story short, bro was slanging meat. Found out I have trypophobia. I watch a YouTuber who makes long videos about trauma. He always warns not to go and check what he's talking about to protect us. He doesn't put any links and sources. Once I was curious, I regret it. I remember watching a reaction video of someone watching 2 Girls 1 Cup, then reading some of the comments, and one read, "If you think this is bad, watch 3 Guys 1 Hammer." Never trusting my curiosity again. One time I was on Reddit, and saw this exact question. I then scrolled to find someone talking about a Formula 1 incident, something about a yo-yo. She posted the link. I watched it. Also drugs. Watched a video of someone committing suicide by jumping off a building. It came up on Facebook or something and had one of those warnings that I disregarded. I will never forget this platter. CBD gummies that turned out to be Delta 8 THC while I was working at a border patrol building. Paranoia kicked in and it was not an enjoyable high. Didn't accomplish anything that afternoon. I work as an EMT. A young EMT, so obviously I am curious when someone says someone is dead. If you are a new EMT, don't be curious, there isn't anything good to see, just major trauma. Younger me fooling around with a fling and put finger up her ass to see if it felt different than a pussy and pulled it out with half her breakfast stuck to it. Curiosity stinks. Honestly, a lot. I've probably explored every corner of the internet at this point. Like, ask me anything about fucked up shit on the internet and I'll prob know what it is. Lol. Learning and understanding that knowledge is ever changing. Much of what we think we know, at least in my career, will change in the next few years and continue to change. I'm extremely desensitized to violence, to a troubling degree. My subject yourself to the absolute worst things you can find on the internet phase did real damage. Ukraine war drone drops videos. I wanted to understand modern combat, but now I just feel numb to watching a lot of people die. I don't go down that road. Watched someone online get split in half by a train at the age of 13. Back when our watch people was a thing. I can still see it if I really try to think back. There was a thread video on X at one point of a still alive kitten being put inside a blender, and you can image the results. Never saw the video, thank gods. I got into drugs entirely out of curiosity. There was no peer pressure. If anything, most of my friends were disapproving of my drug experimentation. I googled my estranged father's name and found out he died of an overdose and they turned his cremains into a brick for a homeless memorial wall. I'm fairly certain I have multiple red flags associated to my name on federal watch lists and maybe on some alphabet soup agency's hire list. I heard anal was good. I fingered my asshole as a male. I named my pointer finger Morbid and my middle finger Curiosity after that. I'm a guy. Wanted to try anal. BD dildo that showed up was way too big, still tried it. Now I get anal fissures when I poop sometimes. Watched several Al-Qaeda execution videos. Wish I could forget them. Really regret it now. It's really impossible to unsee things. I get curious, which I joined Reddit and saw some crazy shit, banned from some subs, fought with people and laughed with others. Every time I click on a gory video without knowing it's a maggot-infested wound. Poof. There goes my appetite for the whole day. When I was 12 I kept googling underage teens porn because I saw it in my dad's search history and I didn't know what it was. Yes, I clicked the NSFW pics on the laser Reddit and I instantly grimace. It's the men. I wish they'd give more of a heads up. I know. 50 calories doesn't explode a member even at 10 meters. And I know California 12 shotgun can turn your torso and head to ketchup. Being desperate enough to meet a four-drum soldier at a hotel in Watertown for drinks and other stuff. Watertown. I once googled Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. I wanted to see his furniture and stuff. That is not what I saw. I thought this cool lighter was on a keychain, so I pressed the button. Turns out cool lighter was pepper spray. I believe was a site. Saw lots of shit there as a young person I probably shouldn't have seen. Got spoiled on so many fucking shows and movies because my monkey brain must unblur the Reddit posts. There are things on the internet that one should not look up because peer pressure and urban legend. Watched a video of a guy shooting himself because people kept talking about it. I'll never forget it. Guys post crazy stuff they've done to their penis on Reddit. I expected sounding to be smaller. Someone linked our self-fucking and ask thread of weird subreddits and I unfortunately clicked it. I watched a Serbian film several years ago. Absolutely hated myself for it ever since. 7 years old me put X next to videos in search bar. And found incest category. That one funky town gore video is the embodiment of curiosity killed the cat. I can't even get onto the sub anymore, the only option is back. Any ideas? 3 guys 1 hammer in middle school. Lots of dicks on Omegle in middle school. I've seen some shit online I can't unsee: beheadings, cartel tortures. 2 girls 1 cup can't be that bad. Later oh my god. Gagging, vomiting face, vomiting face, vomiting face. I now know what sounding and cab torture are. I used to be so innocent. Well, it's rather sensitive so I wouldn't want to talk about it. Body-worn camera videos of US cops shooting at people and watched Russian lathe incident uncensored to my own regret. Ogres and rotten I guess. We only had dial-up back then.